Hey, this is WhyBeAre with Automation, the car company Tycoon game, and today we are going to make an extremely boring and dull car, because in real life, these are the kind of cars that sell. If this was a real life car, it'd be like the #1 selling car in the world kind of thing. But it's not a kind of car that I myself would personally ever want to buy. They're not necessarily bad, they're just not something that interests me, so they're really boring to me. They're the kind of car that tries to do everything okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started building this thing. For the chassis type, we're going to want to use monocoque because it's 2014. Nobody uses a lot of chassis anymore. And then material. I think we're going to go with, let's see, glued aluminum and carbon fiber are just too crazy for this kind of car. AHS steel, though, is probably better than all these other steels because I think it should be lighter weight and stronger. So it's going to be better for economy because it's lighter weight, and it's better for safety because it's heavier and stronger. Well, not heavier, but just stronger. Next is engine placement. This is a boring, bland car made for like kind of economy, and then just, you know, like I said, it's made to do everything okay. Which means front transverse is pretty much the only engine option here for that. There's no way you're going to have a mid-engine, boring, bland car. If you have a mid-engine car, it's going to be a pretty cool car, pretty much. You can almost guarantee that. Anyways, front suspension. We're just going to do McPherson struts because it's just, that is the kind of thing where we just say, okay, just cheap suspension, boom, done. No double wishbone, that costs too much. You know, actually though, you know what we could do? We could put multi-link in the back, okay? And then we could come back to this car and we can make like an all-wheel drive variant and make it like the race edition. Well, not a race edition, but like a sport edition. Kind of like the difference between a Mitsubishi Lancer, a Mitsubishi Lancer versus a Lancer Evolution. There's a huge difference between those. So if you guys are interested in me making like an Evolution version of this or something, feel free to leave a comment. But right now, we're just making the boring front-wheel drive only edition. Maybe we can make a turbocharged all-wheel drive edition later. So anyways, front-wheel drive. And panel material? I'm going to go with polymer. It's just one of those, it makes sense. Polymer is a good material for panels, it seems like. Yeah, it's not really good for safety, but we have AHS steel, which is really strong. So those two together should still make a reasonably safe car. As for body style, I think this body style is the most bland and generic one there is. I don't feel like making a wagon. Wagons are actually more unique. No, this is the boring mobile. That means it's not a wagon. It's just this. This is exactly what we're gonna do. All right, let's see if we want to tweak this shape. How's this do? I think it looks all right. Just the way it is being pretty flat. Yeah, I don't like having a bulge, so we'll make it nice and flat. Put a little bit of let's see, how much can we do? Okay, that's a ton. I'm gonna put just a little bit of the fender hanging out. Just a little bit. So if we do come back and make a sport edition, we can make sure we put some nice fat tires on it. Just a little bit. Like right there on the rear, that looks good. How's the front look? Good. It's like just a tiny bit. Perfect. Alright, let's see. The door, I actually like the way that looks, so we're not gonna mess with that. The proportions between the two look fine. How's this one look? Can make it, I like it long. Long looks, well, maybe a little less. There we go. That looks good. And then we gotta say, what do we want to do with the front, huh? I think I like it flatter. I mean, you definitely don't see cars that look like that anymore. They're always really flat, so we'll make it nice and flat. And what else can we do? We could do the back roof line. Whoa, I don't like that one bit. That looks weird. The glass looks like it's, I don't know, that doesn't even look like it's, like that looks like the kind of glass you would have to put a lot of cost into making. We're just gonna do it like that. That's like I said, making this a normal economy kind of car. It's not going to be anything fancy or anything. It's as boring as possible, and that body shape seems to really fit the build pretty well, don't you think? Just very boring. Let's go for a white on the color, because, well, again, boring. This is the real goal, is a boring car. Whoa, camera. Chill out, man. Alright, anyways, now is the hardest part for me, because I suck at designing cars. That is the hard part. Building the engine and stuff, I can get you a nice engine, boy. Trust me on that. Making a nice looking car, oh yeah, that's a tough one right there. Alright, so let's start with let's see. Alright, you know what? Let's do this. Let's start with something different. We're gonna start with putting these things right here, and these are the like additional air intakes that they have in the front that aren't really grills, but they're kind of in the area where a grill would traditionally be type things. And then we could actually shove a headlight in there. That sounds weird, doesn't it? But I think it'll look okay. Hold on, just trust me on this. Oh, look at that. That works. Actually, it does work. That's okay. I like that. And then we can put another grill in the middle of that, because cars seem to have like a dozen grills nowadays. So we can put like a grill right here. Oops, not that color. I think this is the black one. Yep. So we can go ahead and put a grill here. Make it a little bit bigger than that. So it kind of goes out to about where those things start. So just like that looks good. Just a little bit taller maybe. Alright, that looks alright. I mean, I know it's going to not look great in the end, but it looks okay so far. And then, usually there's some chrome. It's just one of those things, there's always a little bit of chrome somewhere. We just gotta find the one that looks good with the chrome. What if we stretch this thing out a ton? We did a really different shape than what it is. Something like that. That's decent enough. Sure. Because, like I said, there's always a little bit of chrome. I don't know why there's a little extra piece of grill right here, though. That's weird. We're just gonna leave it, though. Always just a tiny bit of extra chrome, though, and that's that right there. The real question is, how are we going to match that up with the headlights? Well, let's get some headlights out and figure this out. I think these headlights seem pretty, like, modern shaped. They look really modern-y. Is that a word? Not really, is it? So we're going to try to, I think the headlights should go right there-ish, actually. So we'll go there. Maybe rotate them just a bit. No, not that much. Just a bit like that. Lower the grill a bit, make it kind of go right up to the headlights. And headlights look a little too low. Scratch that. Let's go and get a fresh angled upset so they're the normal angle, and maybe we shouldn't change the angle. So we put the headlights right there. That actually looks alright, yeah. Okay. I could live with that. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great. It's exactly like what my cars usually look like. Let's put a badge on it. Boom! Look at that. It's a griffin, man. At least I think that's what it's supposed to be. I'm not good with my mythical creatures. Can't even really see it, though, because it's on the chrome. Oh, well. We could always actually just move it down if you really wanted to, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to leave it like that. And see the front ends. I can make front ends that look okay. This side, on the other hand, I have never once made a backside that a back that looks good. Never, ever have I made a backside that looked good. They always look terrible. I don't know why. I just always make terrible looking backs. So here we go. Let's make a terrible looking back for a car. So one thing, you know what? I'm thinking. Okay, usually when I make a rear end for a car, I always try to be very careful to stay in those little like lines. Maybe we need a light that goes through the trunk. Maybe that's the secret. So let's do that. Put like brake lights are huge nowadays. Okay, not that big. But they're huge, so we'll shrink it down a bit. Maybe we make it align with the trunk? You know what? I'm okay with that. I am totally fine with that one. That one, maybe a little taller, because it looks a little stretched. A little lower. Oh, I can't lower it? What? There we go. I was just too close to the left side, that's all. You know what? I think that's alright. That looks... It's a little generic, sure. But it actually looks okay that way. Like, usually I try not to go over the trunk section. But a lot of cars seem to do that in real life, so I figure I might as well try to do it like that. Seems like that works. Go ahead and get a license plate on this thing, because gotta be road legal. So I'll just get that grill shape and make it a little bit taller, about maybe... I don't know. It's hard to guesstimate how big a license plate is. Just kind of got to do what looks good. See, that looks a little too long, so we'll shrink it just a bit. And that looks fine for a license plate. We could also have it on the trunk, too, can't we? Ah, that looks weird. That looks real cheesy. And we need another badge on it, so we'll get another one of those badges and just slap it right here. You know, don't a lot of cars like have a chrome bar on the back, too? There's like a bar of chrome or something. What if we added that? I don't know which of these bars of chrome will be the best, though. I don't know. I'm just thinking about cars you see in real life. They have something like this usually. It's like a bar of chrome that goes from light to light. I just want to see what it looks like, if it looks good or not. I mean, the design of that bar doesn't look good, but the idea might work. That design might work, actually. There we go. Bring it down a bit and get the badge off the chrome. I don't know. I'm not digging the chrome. Nah, I'm not digging it. I know a lot of cars do that, but it feels like you can't get like a good solid piece. At least with the parts I'm using. There might be another part that actually gets you a nice solid piece of chrome, which would work, but those weren't doing it. Alright, I'm trying to think. The generic boring cars usually have an exhaust that you can visibly see easily. I don't know. I'm trying to think and I just can't think of it. Tell you what, let's just throw some on and see what it looks like. I guess we'll put an exhaust on it like that, yeah. Go ahead and just do this as low as we can, like right there. That should work. Alright, what else do we need? We got headlights, we got taillights. Do we need indicators? I mean, this seems like there's something in the side here, but I don't know if you'd be able to see it. And that makes it a hard decision. Like, it might technically be okay without indicators. So I'm just going to say maybe the way it's designed, you can still see the indicators flashing from the sides. Because I don't feel like trying to add indicators. But you see there's some orange right there. It's kind of at a bad angle. I'm not sure if that's just the shape of the lights or the body style plus the lights or what. So I'm just not going to touch it. And grills, we got the grills. See, I actually kind of like the way those grills look. They look kind of legit. Like a real car might do. And let's see, we got vents. Do we need any more vents? Do we need any vents in the back? Why would you have vents in the back? I don't know. You can put vents on the side just to give it a little more texture, but it seems like it's pretty textured up already, so that looks good. Wings, and that's for the fancy version. If we do an all-wheel drive edition, we're going to add a wing to it. Now here we go, handles. We do need handles, so we'll just get the most generic looking ones with the chrome, because this is almost this is the car to appeal for everybody. It has to have a little bit of luxury to it. We'll add a little bit of luxury to it by using chrome handles. Yeah. See, I'm thinking about my audience here. Chrome handles. Ooh. Yeah, how fancy. And, I always try to do these as fast as possible, so... Let's see, bonnet, don't need it. Exhaust, don't need it. Lips, maybe for the fancy edition, but not for this one. So there we go. That is the body style we'll use. It actually turned out alright. I mean, for me designing it and it to look like this, that's an achievement. Usually they look terrible. That one looks reasonable. Reasonable. Not good, just reasonable. Anyways, let's do the engine now. This is a boring, bland kind of economy car, so inline 4-cylinder is really the only option here. Block material, most engines nowadays are aluminum, so we're going to use aluminum. Let's see, let's go ahead and make the bore, I don't know, about 3.5 or so, and then we'll increase the stroke to, you know what, let's just say, let's make the engine about 2.5 liters or 2,500 cc. So we'll just increase the stroke until we get there. And that means we'll have a stroke that's slightly bigger than the bore, but that usually is what I build my engines like, and it seems to work fairly well for me. So 2499cc is basically a 2.5 liter engine, so that is good. Now, if I want to make a fancy edition of this, I need this engine to be built pretty strong so I could stuff a turbo on it and still have reasonable reliability. So for the crank, we're going to do a forged steel. I'm not going to do billet because that's just extremely high max torque. I don't think we'll need that. Very high, that should be good. So we're going to use a forged steel crank. And then for the con rods, we're going to do something similar. We're going to use, let's see, we got forged H-beam or I-beam steel. I-beam steel is slightly cheaper. And I think it'll be more beneficial to have a max RPM that's high than a max torque that's average. So we'll do that. And then pistons. I probably just forged. Forged is nice and strong and reasonably priced. I mean, yeah, lightweight is too much. Low friction is good if we're going for pure economy, but I want to use the same engine internals for a performance edition later on. So we're gonna make this a pretty beefy engine for this thing. It's probably gonna be a little overkill, but that's okay. Dual overhead cam with a 4-valve setup. No crazy 5-valve, but a 4-valve setup for maximum economy, because this thing does need economy. People love economy. I'm going for maybe at least 30 miles per gallon. That should be pretty good. Again, most things are aluminum nowadays at least, so aluminum it is. Compression, let's go and increase that just a bit to maybe like 10. I think we'll be okay with that. Cam profile, I'll come back to. V's. All the V's. Yeah, variable valve timing for the cams and the variable valve lift. They're all helpful for what this car is trying to accomplish, so we'll have them. Turbo. That's for the fancy version if we do one. So for now, naturally aspirated. Injection system, let's do a multi-point EFI. That's something that could be done in a real car. And again, it's good for economy. It's one of those things where they do that to get the economy of the car being pretty decent. So that's why I'm doing it. We're not going to do throttle per cylinder because that's just insane. Do we need a max power of 5,664 horsepower or 646 horsepower? No. Max power 265? That should be more than enough. I don't even think I'll hit 200 horsepower. It's not my goal. I think 200 horsepower is a bit too much even for this. Like 180, 170, that's probably about where we want to be. Intake, standard. We don't need a performance intake on this. What are you, insane? And this is the key. We need to run it on regular unleaded. No fancy gas, just regular unleaded. That's what we need to run it on. Ignition timing, I'll come back to. RPM limit, I'll come back to. Alright, let's see. Headers, we need more power than 83.4 horsepower, so increase that a bit. Short cast, 176. Seems pretty close. Tubular gets us up to 215. And I think we'll go ahead and do that. I mean, to be fair, on the Performance Edition, it really doesn't matter what headers we use, though. We could change the headers without major consequences because we're putting a turbo on it anyways. So, you know what? Let's start with short cast, and we'll see if there's any advantage to putting tubular on later on. Exhaust diameter, let's do it at 2.0. Yeah, that's about matches that. 181, 176 is the limit, so that's good. Catalytic converter, if this was a car in the US, it would need a 3-way converter for sure. Muffler, let's go ahead and do a baffled and then a reverse flow. So it's not extremely quiet like a luxury car, but it's still reasonably quiet like a car that most people seem to like. It's, like I said, I'm trying to make a very boring car that would be a car people would buy. And so far, I think it's doing okay on that aspect. Let's see how much power is it going to make. I need way more than 105, 115, 120. Okay, I want another 50 horsepower. 120 just seems really low because this car is going to be pretty heavy. So we need some more power. And the engine's knocking, so that is probably why the power is not there. So we'll increase the fuel mixture to about 14.0 and see if that helps with the knocking. We'll let this one run, and then I'll probably not let him run anymore. Alright, I like those numbers. 168 foot-pounds of torque and 168 horsepower. They're both the same number. That's kind of funny. But you know what? I want to get a little bit more out of this engine. I think we can get a little more out of it without really reducing anything by just tweaking the cam profile and stuff. So if we like raise the cam profile by about 5, I don't think we'll be much lost by doing that. We lost a little bit of economy actually, and we didn't gain anything. So scratch that. Maybe it was reduce it by 5. I don't know. I just want to tweak some things to see if I can get a little bit better. Now, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't touch that. Okay, cam profile is fine. VVL profile, you know, it's on sport. This is just to make sure when people buy the car, they can say, oh yeah, it's so sporty. So we won't touch that either. How about instead we just tweak the ignition timing one? Go one tick up, and that's it. And the engine's knocking. Okay, apparently I made a beautiful engine right from the start that doesn't need any tweaking. What about RPM limit? Can we increase that a little? Alright, we can do that, and that helps the power a bit. Does reduce the reliability ever so slightly, but not by much yet. So let's see, what if we bring it up to 6,500 red line? Ever so slightly less reliability, but we do have a little bit more power. And that is good. But you know what? Nobody says the engine has to redline at the same thing for the Performance Edition and the Economy Edition. So, yeah, instead of reducing the reliability, let's just let this thing redline at 6,000. The Performance Edition, if we do one, that'll be like 7,000-ish. This one, put it at 6,000. That way it has a ton of reliability. Well, actually, did it reduce the reliability if I bring it up just by 200? Yeah, just a bit. So, 6,000 is just a nice even number. We'll go 6,000. And then here's the other question. Was there an advantage to using tubular versus short cast? So here's short cast compared to tubular. Short cast has 6 horsepower less and 4 foot-pounds of torque less, but this one's more efficient in economy. And it is a little bit cheaper in terms of production units. So I'm thinking overall we'll stick to what we got. I don't think there's anything I really want to change here. I mean, we made a decent engine right off just kind of going with the flow, I think. I mean, it's not hard to make a basic economy car engine, that's the thing. What's hard is getting the engine, when you want 1,000 horsepower out of a tiny engine and you got to tweak the turbos and all that to be just right, that's hard. Something like this, that'll work. Sure, we could get it more gas efficient, more power if we kept tweaking, but that's fine. So we'll name this generic engine. That's really the best engine I can come up with. The best name for this thing I can come up with is generic engine. You know, I gotta think of a good name for the car now. What am I gonna name the car? Alright, I'm gonna let the engine run just for laughs. See, that's the power of clever editing. I had to cough really bad, so I just said I'm gonna run the engine, and then I was just coughing while my microphone was muted. Ah, I shouldn't have said that. Now everybody's gonna know my secrets. Anyways, though, oh yeah, I was saying I need to figure out a good name for this. I don't know what to name it. I have no idea. That's the truth. I have no idea. Anyways, gearbox automatic 6-speed. That's just the standard. Top speed, let's put it to 120 because it says the top speed can get up to 120. So let's put it at 120 then. I mean, that's a reasonable top speed, if you ask me. And let's see, tires, we'll do hard, long life road tires because that, again, seems like the kind of reasonable tires you would have on this kind of car. 15-inch tires is a little small in this day and age, don't you think? I think maybe not 19, but 18-inch tires seems a bit more reasonable. It just looked like there was too much rubber on those. Let's go with 3-piston brakes. I'm not sure if 3 pistons are the right amount, but we'll start with 3-piston brakes. Put the brake type to really, really comfortable because this is not a race car. They don't want really good brakes. They just want brakes to slow them down without really making them have to lean forward from the force. That's really it. Disc size, we'll put giant. Well, maybe not giant, but let's do 12-inch discs in this thing. That way, the stopping's nice. So that should be good. And then under tray, let's do fully clad because I think that should help economy. And we by no means need like 1,300 or yeah, 1,300 kilojoules of cooling. We could be good with, let's see, throw the brake flow up a bunch and then put it to maybe 230. Yeah, if that, we have more than enough cooling like that. That is totally fine. All right, next is the seats. Let's do 5. So it'd be 2 in the front, 3 in the back, I guess. You know, they do have 6-seater cars though. I wonder why they don't have that number available. Anyways though, so it's 2 seats, like 2 bucket seats in the front and then a row of seats in the back is the idea. Interior is this is a basic car to appeal to everybody. Standard interior with a little extra insulation because most people don't like hearing anything on the outside. I'm not most people, but most people would like that. At least I think. I don't know. Entertainment, standard. Premium just seems like overkill. Basic, it seems like we could do better than that. Alright, driver assist, power steering, yeah, most people like that. Anti-lock brakes, most people don't know what that is, but they would like it probably. Same with traction control and electronic stability. Those are things that when people buy a car, they don't really know what that means, but they probably want that. And launch control. Why would you want launch control on like 170 horsepower, like 2-ton vehicle? This thing's gonna weigh a bunch. You don't need launch control. We're not gonna put launch control. And then safety. People love safety, so we're going to put premium safety on this thing. Not advanced, just premium. Because it's not like it's a car that's known for safety, but it's a car that's trying to appeal to the masses. The most bland, generic car possible because it appeals to the masses. Alright, and then for the suspension, I'm just going to do a preset. I'm just going to do the comfort preset because the car it needs a lot of comfort. That's what most people like. We'll lower it a little bit because it seems like 10 inches of ground clearance is quite a lot, really. 9 inches should be more than enough, I would think. And then let's see what those stats say. Now, there's no like specific thing that's going to be like this car accomplished its goal, but we're just going to analyze what it says and see if I like what it is and that kind of stuff. I mean, it's hard. Like, what does 70 in tameness actually mean? And well, I don't know, but that's a high number in tameness. I'll tell you that much compared to what you normally see for these numbers. That is a huge number. And most people probably all they care about is the tameness of the car. Like as long as they're not spinning out every time they go to get groceries or something, or when they're taking little Johnny to school, that's what they probably care about the most. Sportiness, we have just enough. Like it has a little bit of sportiness. I've seen cars where I've made them when there's 0 sportiness. This one has almost 5, which is like just enough for the person at the showroom floor to be like, oh yes, do you want this very sporty, whatever this car is going to be called? And that is like, it's like just enough. So that's perfect. I think it's because I put all that brake cooling. It's like, we got no brake fade here. And that made it just enough sportiness, funnily enough. And then comfort. Seems like it's a reasonable amount. Maybe it could be a little bit higher, like about, I don't know, 40-ish or so, I would think. But it's not a luxury car. It's a middle of the road car. So it seems like it's a reasonable number again. I like that. Prestige, I wasn't really thinking about at all. But this is like the equivalent of somebody trying to like say, oh, my car is so prestigious. It's called a Honda or a Toyota or an Accord or a Camry or whatever you want to say. Nobody goes like that. Oh, yes, my prestigious Camry, my prestigious Accord. You know, you got to try to pronounce it differently to make it sound like it's something fancy. It's not something I thought about. So I don't know. I have no thought on that one. Safety is 40, which seems, again, reasonable. But it's just a number. It's hard to know what that number really means. It's like, yeah, 40. 40 what? I don't know. 40s. It has 40 safeties. That's a lot of safeties, I think. I don't know. If you had 40 safeties on a football team, you're doing something wrong. Alright. Anyways, let's see. Name. Let's just call it Car For You. Because it's a car for you, the people who just buy cars without caring for the things I care about. The kind of people who buy a car that tries to be good at everything. That's exactly what I made it for. I made it for you guys, the people who buy the boring cars. To me, I mean, it's like what you want in a car is different for everybody. So, last thing I want to check, just out of curiosity, how fast does it get around the Top Gear test track? I'm just looking at it, man. It seems sad shifting at only 6,000. It seems like it wants to go so much higher. But I wanted that reliability. I didn't talk about that stat. Wait, where was the reliability stat? I think that was in a different menu. Anyways, let's just see. How long does it take to go around the track? 1 minute 42. That's very reasonable, actually. That is actually very reasonable. If I remember correctly, well, the 0 to 60 time is kind of garbage, though, isn't it? 9 seconds? I mean, it's not. Yeah, I mean, it is pretty slow for the 0 to 60. That's for sure. Maybe we could... I mean, we don't need that much top speed. If we reduce that, will that help? I mean, it really doesn't matter at this... What? It's less? Why is it less? Fine, get the top speed back up. I didn't think it'd be less. What is that nonsense? So, let's not touch anything. I'm just going to break it. Anyways, weight is only 3,000 and some change pounds. That's really light, actually. I think most cars are quite a bit heavier than that. That's interesting. I didn't expect it to be that light. I know I used the AHS steel and polymer to make it light, but that's really light. Reliability is a huge number. 74? That is a solid engine that is not going to give up on you. Again, that's what people like. Utility, 57. It's over 50. How bad could it be? Economy is 30 miles per gallon. I'm assuming that's like the combined EPA estimate kind of miles per gallon, which is right in there with a lot of the cars they sell for this kind of car. Total cost is only $10,000. Production units, 127 hours or whatever they are. All of that seems very reasonable, and everything about this car seems like it achieved the goal I had. So I am very happy with it, actually. And even the back tail lights don't look terrible. It does look a little bland, but I think if you had actual license plate digits and all, it wouldn't be as bad. But anyways, that'll do it. This has been WhyBeAre making a very bland car intentionally. And if you guys are interested in seeing a fancy version of this, like I said, like basically the closest equivalent is how Mitsubishi would have the Lancer, and then they have the Lancer Evolution. So it'd be the Car For You Evolution or something like that. I don't know. If you want to see something like that, feel free to leave a comment so I know if you'd be interested. And like I said, until next time, this is WhyBeAre. I'll see ya.